Most people grow up believing the same thing. Study hard, get good grades, find a stable job, save money, and one day you will become wealthy. It sounds simple. It sounds logical. And for many years, it has been the advice passed down from parents, teachers, and society. But there is a problem. Some of the wealthiest people in the world did not become rich by following that formula. In fact, many of them spent less time learning how to get a job and more time learning how money works. And here is something even stranger. Some of the smartest students in school often end up working for people who were average students. The people who earn the highest grades are not always the people who build the most wealth. So why does this happen? Why do schools spend thousands of hours teaching math, science, history, and literature, yet almost no time teaching how money actually behaves? Why do so many hardworking people struggle financially, while others seem to build wealth faster and faster over time? But here's what most people never realize. Schools were never designed to teach people how to become wealthy. Their main goal was to prepare people for employment. They teach you how to follow instructions, solve problems, and build skills that employers value. Millionaires learn something different. They learn how money behaves. They learn why some assets grow while others lose value. They learn how wealth moves, how investments compound, and how ownership creates opportunities that a paycheck alone cannot provide. The truth is that money follows a different set of rules than most people think. And once you understand those rules, you begin to see why some people stay trapped in the same financial cycle, while others quietly build wealth year after year. Today, we're going to explore 8 money principles that wealthy people understand early and why learning them could completely change the direction of your financial future. Section 1. One of the biggest money lessons that schools never teach is also one of the simplest. Most people are taught to work for money. From a young age, the message is clear. Study hard, get a good job, work long hours, and earn a paycheck. The more hours you work, the more money you make. It sounds reasonable because that is how most people experience money for their entire lives. But millionaires learn a different lesson. They learn how to make money work for them. At first, this may sound like a clever saying, but it is actually one of the most important ideas in wealth building. Think about it this way. When you work a job, you are trading your time for money. This is called active income. You show up, do the work, and get paid. If you stop working, the income usually stops too. There is nothing wrong with active income. In fact, almost everyone starts there. The problem is that time is limited. Every person gets the same 24 hours in a day. No matter how talented, hardworking, or determined you are, there is a limit to how many hours you can work. Eventually, you reach a ceiling. You cannot work 25 hours in a 24-hour day. This is where wealthy people begin thinking differently. Instead of relying only on active income, they focus on building assets that can produce income on their own. These assets might be stocks that pay dividends, businesses that earn profits, or real estate that generates rent. This is called asset income. The difference is powerful. With active income, you work for money. With asset income, money begins working for you. While you are sleeping, traveling, spending time with family, or focusing on other projects, your assets can continue producing value. This does not happen overnight. Most millionaires spend years building assets before they see major results. But they understand something many people never learn. Working harder can increase your income. Building assets can increase your freedom. And that leads to the first major difference between workers and wealth builders. One focuses mainly on earning money today, while the other focuses on creating systems that can keep producing money long into the future. Section 2. Many people believe that a high income automatically leads to wealth. It seems like a reasonable assumption. If someone earns a large salary, they should be rich. After all, making more money should solve most financial problems. But real life often tells a different story. There are doctors, lawyers, and other highly paid professionals who earn hundreds of thousands of dollars every year, yet still feel trapped in a cycle of bills and financial pressure. They live in expensive homes, drive expensive cars, and spend most of what they earn. From the outside, they appear wealthy, but behind the scenes, they may be living paycheck to paycheck. If their income suddenly stopped, their lifestyle could begin to fall apart much faster than people expect. Now compare that to someone else. Imagine a small business owner who earns far less each year. Their income may not impress anyone at a dinner party. They may not drive a luxury car or live in a giant house. But over time, they quietly buy assets. They invest in businesses, stocks, or real estate. Year after year, those assets grow in value. Eventually, that person may build a net worth far greater than someone earning 2 or 3 times as much. This is where many people misunderstand wealth. Wealth is not measured by how much money passes through your hands. Wealth is measured by how much value you keep. A person can earn $1 million and spend almost all of it. Another person can earn much less and steadily build assets that grow year after year. One looks rich, the other becomes rich. Millionaires understand this difference early. When most people think about money, they focus on salary. They ask, how much do I earn? But wealthy people often ask a different question. How much do I own? That question changes everything, because salary tells you how much money comes in. Net worth tells you what you have built, and over time, it is not income that creates lasting wealth. It is the gap between what you earn, what you spend, and what you keep. The larger that gap becomes, the faster your wealth begins to grow. This simple shift in thinking separates people who chase bigger paychecks from people who build lasting financial freedom. Section 3. If there is one idea that separates wealthy people from everyone else, it is this: they focus on ownership. Most people spend their lives trying to earn more income. They look for better jobs, higher salaries, and bigger paychecks. And while there is nothing wrong with that, wealthy people understand that income alone is not enough. They know that true wealth comes from owning things that grow in value over time. Think about some of the richest people in the world. Most of them did not become wealthy because of a paycheck. They became wealthy because they owned something. Some own businesses. Others own stocks in successful companies. Many own real estate that increases in value while generating income. Some even own intellectual property, such as books, music, software, patents, or online content that continues to earn money long after the work is finished. At first, these assets may seem small: a single stock, a small business, a rental property, a digital product. But over time, those assets can begin producing more income, which can then be used to buy even more assets. This is where something powerful starts to happen. Compounding begins. Imagine two people. The first person works hard and earns a paycheck every month. They use most of that money to pay bills and cover expenses. The cycle repeats month after month. The second person also works hard, but each month, they use part of their income to buy assets. Slowly, those assets begin generating income of their own. Now the second person is no longer relying only on their job. They have assets working alongside them. This is why employees and owners often experience money very differently. Employees earn income. Owners accumulate assets. And assets have the ability to keep growing long after the original work is done. That does not mean every business succeeds or every investment goes up in value. Ownership always involves risk. But wealthy people understand that ownership gives them something income alone cannot provide: leverage, growth, and the opportunity to build wealth that expands beyond the limits of their time. Because the moment you start owning productive assets, you stop depending only on what you can earn. You begin benefiting from what you own. And that is where wealth truly starts to compound. Section 4. One of the most common money lessons taught in schools and homes is simple: save your money. And to be fair, that is good advice. Saving teaches discipline. It creates a safety net for emergencies. It helps you avoid unnecessary debt. Every wealthy person understands the importance of saving. But there is a problem that many people never learn. Saving alone is rarely enough to build real wealth. Imagine that you place all your money in a box and leave it there for the next 10 years. The amount of money inside the box would stay the same, but the value of that money would slowly change. This happens because of inflation. Inflation is the gradual increase in the cost of goods and services over time. A loaf of bread, a tank of fuel, or a home that costs one amount today may cost much more in the future. As prices rise, the purchasing power of your money falls. Purchasing power is simply what your money can buy. If you have $100 today, it may buy less 10 years from now than it does today. The money itself has not changed, but its strength has. This is why money sitting still slowly loses power. There is also something called opportunity cost. Opportunity cost is what you give up when you choose one option instead of another. For example, if you leave $10,000 sitting in a low-interest account for many years, you may miss the chance for that money to grow through investments. The money stays safe, but it also stays mostly unchanged. Wealthy people understand this trade-off. They save first, but they do not stop there. They see saving as the starting point, not the finish line. Instead of letting money sit idle forever, they look for ways to put it to work. They invest in businesses, stocks, real estate, or other assets that have the potential to grow over time. In other words, they use savings as fuel. The goal is not simply to collect money. The goal is to make money productive, because while saving protects your money, investing gives it a chance to grow. And that is a lesson many millionaires learn early. Money becomes far more powerful when it is moving, growing, and working alongside you instead of sitting still on the sidelines. Section 5. If there is one force that has created more millionaires than almost anything else, it is compound growth. The strange thing is that compound growth does not look impressive at first. In the beginning, progress feels slow. You invest a small amount of money, a little growth happens, then a little more, for months or even years. The results may seem almost invisible. Many people become impatient during this stage. They want fast results. They want quick success. They want to see dramatic changes right away. But wealthy people understand something that most people do not. Time is often more valuable than money. Imagine two people. The first person starts investing at age 25. They put away a small amount of money every month and stay consistent for many years. The second person waits until age 40 to begin. They may even invest more money each month than the first person. But because the first person started earlier, their money has more time to grow. Their gains create more gains. Then those gains create even more gains. Over time, the gap between the two investors becomes larger and larger. This is the power of compounding. It is often compared to a snowball rolling down a hill. At first, the snowball is small. It barely seems to grow. But as it continues rolling, it gathers more snow. The larger it becomes, the faster it grows. Money can behave the same way. The biggest surprise is that compound growth does not reward intelligence as much as people think. It rewards patience. You do not need to predict every market move. You do not need to be a financial genius. You do not need to find the perfect investment every time. What matters most is starting early, staying consistent, and giving your money enough time to do its work. This is one reason many wealthy people seem to pull further ahead as the years pass. Their success is not always the result of making better decisions today. Often, it is the result of decisions they made many years ago. They planted seeds early. Then they gave those seeds time to grow. That is the real secret of compound growth. Wealth is not always built through huge actions. More often, it is built through small actions repeated consistently over long periods of time. And for those who understand this principle, time becomes their greatest financial asset. Section 6. Most schools do a good job teaching people how to earn money. You learn skills, you study subjects, you complete assignments. Eventually, you use that knowledge to get a job and earn an income. But there is another money skill that receives very little attention. It is the skill of deciding where money goes after you earn it. This is known as allocation. And for many millionaires, it is one of the most important skills they ever learn. Think about it this way. Two people can earn exactly the same amount of money each year and end up in completely different financial situations. Why? Because earning money is only part of the story. What happens after the money arrives is often even more important. Every dollar you earn is like an employee waiting for instructions. You can spend it, you can save it, or you can invest it. The choice you make today can affect your financial future for years to come. This is where capital allocation begins. Capital is simply money that can be put to work. Wealthy people constantly ask themselves where their capital can create the greatest value. They think carefully about how each financial decision moves them closer to or further away from their goals. This also requires making investment decisions. Before putting money into a business, a stock, a property, or any other opportunity, they ask important questions. What are the possible rewards? What are the possible risks? What is the likelihood of success? Can this investment grow over time? That process is called risk assessment. Many people try to avoid all risk, but millionaires understand that every decision involves some level of risk. The goal is not to eliminate risk completely. The goal is to understand it and manage it wisely. They also evaluate opportunities differently. Instead of asking, "Can I afford this?" they often ask, "Is this the best use of my money right now?" That one question can completely change a financial decision. This is the lesson that many schools never teach. Making money is one skill. Deploying money is an entirely different skill. One helps you generate income. The other helps you build wealth. And over time, the people who learn how to direct their money wisely often achieve far more than those who focus only on earning more of it. Because wealth is not just created by what you make. It is created by what you do with what you make. Section 7. By now, you may have noticed a pattern. The biggest difference between most people and millionaires is not income. It is not education. And it is not even intelligence. It is often the way they think about money. Many poor and middle-class people focus mainly on spending. When extra money arrives, the first question is often simple. What can I buy? There is nothing unusual about this. Modern life constantly encourages consumption. New phones, new cars, new clothes, and new gadgets are advertised everywhere. The message is always the same: buy more, upgrade more, spend more. And for a short time, those purchases can feel rewarding. But wealthy people often approach money differently. When extra money comes in, they tend to ask a different question. What can I own that pays me? That question changes everything. Instead of looking for things that take money out of their pocket, they look for assets that can put money into their pocket. A consumer sees money as something to spend. An investor sees money as something to grow. An owner sees money as a tool for acquiring assets. This is why many millionaires spend years buying things that do not look exciting from the outside. They may purchase stocks, businesses, rental properties, or other investments, while others spend the same money on lifestyle upgrades. At first, this choice can seem boring. One person gets immediate rewards, the other gets future rewards. But over time, the results become very different. The assets begin producing income. That income buys more assets. Those assets produce even more income. And slowly, wealth starts building itself. This is really an identity transformation. First, you begin as a consumer. You earn money and spend most of it. Then you become an investor. You start setting aside money and putting it into assets. Eventually, you become an owner. You control assets that continue creating value long after the original purchase. This shift does not happen overnight. It happens one decision at a time. Each time you choose ownership over consumption, you move a little closer to financial freedom. Because wealthy people understand something that many others never discover. The goal is not to own more stuff. The goal is to own more assets. And the assets you own today can shape the financial opportunities you have tomorrow. As we come to the end of this discussion, one thing should be clear. The biggest difference between millionaires and everyone else is not intelligence. It is not luck. And it is not necessarily income. Many highly educated people struggle financially. Many hardworking people spend decades chasing bigger paychecks without ever building lasting wealth. And many people who seem ordinary on the surface quietly build fortunes over time. Why? Because they understand a set of money principles that most people are never exposed to. They learn that working for money has limits. They learn that wealth is measured by what you keep, not what you earn. They learn the power of ownership. They learn that saving is important, but investing is what helps money grow. They learn that time is one of the most valuable assets they will ever have. And they learn that every dollar can either be spent today or used to create more opportunities tomorrow. None of these ideas are complicated. In fact, most of them are surprisingly simple. The challenge is that simple does not always mean easy. These principles require patience. They require discipline. And most importantly, they require a different way of thinking about money. That is why wealth often looks invisible in the beginning. The habits seem small. The decisions seem unimportant. The progress seems slow. But year after year, those small decisions begin to stack on top of one another until the results become impossible to ignore. Perhaps the most important lesson is this. Schools teach you how to make a living, but wealth comes from learning how money moves, grows, compounds, and multiplies without your constant effort. The people who build lasting wealth are not always the people who work the hardest. Often, they are the people who learn how to put their money to work alongside them. Because once you stop asking, how can I earn more money? And start asking, how can my money earn more money? Everything begins to change. You stop thinking only about income and start thinking about assets. You stop focusing only on today and start building for the future. You stop playing the game of earning and spending and begin playing the game of ownership and growth. And that single shift can change the course of your financial future forever.